guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, you guys are welcome too. I'm the Savvy Daughter, and this is my final rookie garden episode. So I'm going to give you one last complete update on my rookie garden today. So come along with me and I'll show you guys the rookie garden one more time. Before we head out to the garden and I show you everything that's going on out there, I want to start with these two tomato plants because these are the most beautiful vegetable plants I have managed to grow this year, and I am super proud of them and excited about them because these are the first tomatoes I've ever tried to grow from seed. They ended up being a really huge success, and I potted them up in bigger pots very recently and used my own compost that I made to pot them up in. So basically these tomatoes are sitting in compost that I've made over the last few months, and they're growing off of seeds that I started. So I mean, I think that's just awesome. They've now got little bitty green tomatoes all over them. They're going to be producing soon, and I'm just super happy about it. As it turns out, since compost is completely full of organic nutrients and tomatoes especially love that kind of thing, I am learning that plants completely thrive in good soil, and these tomatoes are a great example of that. That's what I wanted to start with. Now that I've shown you these guys, it's time to go out to the garden and I'll show you what a spring garden looks like in early August. Okay guys, so here is what a spring garden looks like in August. I'm going to go through kind of slowly and show you guys a few things. First up, we have the tomato forest. Now I planted these tomatoes when they were pretty small. I watched them grow to be pretty plants. I watched them produce, and now they are at the end of their life and they are dying. They're covered in red tomatoes, but most of those tomatoes are either like half rotten or just not looking very good at all, and all of the plants are basically dead. The heat has become too much for the tomato plants. We come over here to the squash. I once had about 8 squash plants in this bed. There were like 2 there, and 2 more, and 2 more, and it went down. And now I'm left with 1, and that one doesn't look very good. 2, and that one is just kind of small. It produced a few squash, and I was really glad about it, but now it's just kind of small. And 3, and this one is on its way towards death, as you can see. It's just wilted because this is what happens to vegetable plants when it's over 90 degrees every day and they have no shade. I've also got these peppers, and they still look pretty good. I've got a couple of tomato plants at the end of the bed down there. In my second bed, I've got 1 tomato plant at the end, and it's been giving me just a couple of tomatoes still. It's been producing for weeks. And there's my bell peppers, which of course, just like everything else, they're kind of wilty. Down here, I've got 1 cucumber plant, and this thing was awesome. It produced 2 cucumbers, and they were actually really good cucumbers, which I was surprised about. And the last thing that I still have is okra. And this okra, it just never grew very well. It just is what it is. I am filming this video in the middle of the afternoon, and there's a thunderstorm just to our south that is cooling the weather off. So I'm super thankful for that because it makes it not so hot out here. But we live in Alabama, which is hot. Alabama is just hot in the summer. So you can just think about vegetable plants that I planted in early May. Throughout May, we had good weather. Throughout June and July, it was dry and hot. Now we're to early August, and they have basically run their course. They have produced all that they're going to produce. So one of the things I'm going to be doing today is pulling up a bunch of these vegetables and throwing them in my compost. So right now, I'm going to start with pulling up the tomatoes in my tomato forest because all of them are done. There's no reason to just leave them sitting in the ground, and they're going to be of more use to me in my compost pile than they are in the beds, since they're just sitting there and looking ugly. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. So now the next thing I need to pull up are the squash in front of me. Basically, they're just done producing. They're not like completely dead, but there's no buds, no blooms, no nothing. So it's just time to pull them up and their life is over. harvested, I think it was 3 blue squash off of this plant. It produced a few squash, and I made a short about the first blue squash I ever ate. And then I realized through a comment on that short that blue squash was actually a winter squash variety, and I had no idea. I just bought something random at our store that looked interesting. So it's just things like that I've been learning all year. Now it's time to pull up these peppers, and they are hot peppers. I've got 2 La Bamba pepper plants left and 1 just habanero. If there is anything that has produced tons of food in my garden, it has been these pepper plants, and I haven't harvested as much as I could because my family doesn't really eat hot peppers, so we didn't have a use for them. I used a couple in my salsa and stuff, but besides that, we didn't need hot peppers. But if there's anything in my garden that still looks pretty, has stayed pretty for a long time, and produced well, it has been these plants. I don't even think I can pull this one up. Nope, can't do it. It's now the end of my bell peppers life. And they've been good. They've produced as well. They've produced quite a few bell peppers, actually, more than I thought they would, and most of them were pretty good. I ate a lot of bell peppers. I've gone around pulling up most of the veggies left in my garden, and now I've got a wheelbarrow full of most of the vegetables that I've grown this year. It's kind of a crazy wheelbarrow. I've put several months of work into this, and here it all is. And the last thing that I wanted to just show you guys is my toilet tomatoes. They've been maybe my favorite plants that I grew this year in the garden, just because I think they're awesome. I've never grown very many vegetable plants at all, but I've especially never grown any vegetable plants in a toilet. So I just thought that was awesome from the beginning. They have turned black, basically. They're just dying. My annual pots, they were once full of really pretty flowers, and now they're dead. The plant's life has just run their course. All of the vegetables that I've grown all year long, into the compost they go. There's everything I've grown. Now that my vegetables are officially a compost pile, I want to wrap up my rookie garden by just telling you guys that I have had so much fun growing this garden. This is the first vegetable garden I've ever tried to grow, and the main reason I wanted to do it is so that I can learn how to grow vegetables. I had virtually no experience with growing vegetables before, and then I just decided to plant a garden this year and see what happened and see where it went. So I've been really glad because a lot of my vegetables did produce at least a little bit. I got to harvest a lot of tomatoes, more than I needed. I got to harvest squash and bell peppers and spicy peppers and a few peas and just things like that. It wasn't like an abundant harvest or anything, but what I did get to harvest, I had a lot of fun with, and I got to make some cool things like salsa that I showed you guys on this channel, or a bacon, egg, and tomato sandwich. That was kind of awesome. And I tried a spicy pepper and all kinds of opportunities that I got because I decided to grow a garden. Another cool thing that came with growing this garden is the fact that I got to make a lot of cool YouTube videos about this garden, and I think I've gotten at least a little bit better at YouTube from the day I started this garden, like the day I started weed eating this garden, to today on my final episode. I think I've gotten better at making videos, so that's good. I've learned how to grow vegetables. Well, not great. I started out knowing basically nothing, and I still don't know very much, but I know a lot more than I did in May. So I'd say that's a success. I know there's a bunch of you guys that have been watching me grow this rookie garden since day one, since I came out to this spot of grass and weeded it and all of that. And a lot of you guys have been watching me grow this garden this entire time, and I'm thankful for every one of you guys that is watching me grow this garden, that has watched the garden happen, basically, and has watched me learn how to do stuff. This will not be my last garden. It's the first I've ever grown, and it will not be the last. But I've got a new project that I'm going to be doing on this YouTube channel. I've got a new series that's going to be coming out very soon, and just a new thing that I'm really excited to work on. So I hope you guys will tune in to that, because I think that you'll think it's interesting, and I'm super excited about it. Thank you guys for coming along with me through this whole garden learning process. I've had so much fun with the rookie garden this year, and I'm so glad that I got to do it. I hope to see you guys on the next one.